discussion. I'm Charlie Hales, I'm your mayor. Want the other council members who are here to please introduce themselves. Mr. Fritz? Louder! Okay, we'll try to be louder.
I didn't say anything yet, so I couldn't be louder. I'm Portland City Commissioner Amanda Fritz. I am thrilled with the amount of participation we have here tonight. Thank you so much.
I'm City Commissioner Nick Fish. Again, thank you for joining us this evening.
I'm Dan Saltzman. Thank you for being here.
We'll take about a minute or two and have Andrew Scott, our budget director, do a quick review of where we are in the process, and then we'll call on some former elected officials who we extended the courtesy to come up and speak first, and then we'll get into the rest of the testimony. So we will, with no further formalities, let me bring Andrew up to give you the context for where we now are in the council's deliberations on next year's budget.
Great. Thank you. I'm Andrew Scott. I'm the city budget director, and I'm going to be very, very brief. We had a number of these handouts. Hopefully you grabbed them on the way in. And it gives just a little bit of context in terms of what the city is facing in the next fiscal year. And what you can see on the very front of this is a list of the priorities that the mayor and council have set out in terms of the budget, and preserving core services is sort of at the heart of that, with some other things circling. Inside you'll find a little bit more financial information. And what the pie chart here shows is what the city estimates it would cost to provide the same level of service that we're currently providing for all of our programs next year. I should say all of our general fund programs. And that totals about $417 million. We also show there what the forecasted resources are, which is about almost $391 million. Now I should say, since this was printed before the first budget forum a few weeks ago, we have received some additional positive economic news. We always like it when things move that direction and not the other direction. Specifically with regards to inflation, inflation is a little bit lower than what had been forecast. Health premiums in the city are going to be a little bit lower than what was forecast. And we've received somewhat better news regarding property tax. You might be reading about real market values of houses in Portland growing faster than expected. So that's bringing in a little bit more property tax. So in total, that brings the shortfall that the city is estimated to face next year down to about $21.5 million. That's an ongoing shortfall. We will have a little bit more information later on this month with regards to our business license tax, which is another very large source of revenue for the general fund. At that point, we will issue a final forecast in terms of what that, what the city council, what the mayor and council will need to balance to for next year's budget. So although that's good economic news and good revenue news, bringing it down to about $21.5 million, it still is a very large shortfall. It's about 5.5% over all our general fund programs. As a result, and we knew there was going to be a shortfall, and so beginning a few months ago, Mayor Hales asked city bureaus to submit budgets at 90% of that current service level that you can see on page 2. And then bureaus were asked to make their case for the add-backs that are not in their 90% base. So essentially prioritizing their highest 90% and then making a case for the remaining 10%. That's what you can see on page 3 of this document, are some examples of the add-backs that are under consideration. The example of the add-backs that are under consideration. And then finally on the last page, you can see a breakdown of expenses by bureau, again providing a little bit more financial information and some significant issues outside of the general fund as well. I'm going to be around, so if you have specific questions about this information, go ahead and grab me. I can either answer the question, or I've got some other staff from the budget office who we can hopefully answer your question if you have just specific things. With that, just a couple of protocol issues. You'll notice, most of you in the back who are standing, we have asked the building to find some additional chairs, and I just recently heard that there are no additional chairs. So the one thing I would ask is that to the extent someone is seated who may be able to stand for the next hour or two, we may ask if you voluntarily wanted to give up your seat for some of those who may have a harder time standing for that period of time. And with that, I think we will turn it back over to the mayor. Thanks.
I think, there we go, now we got sound back. Just a couple of more housekeeping points before we begin. We obviously have a very large number of people here to testify tonight. We will try to hear from as many people as we possibly can. We're going to ask you to be even more focused in what you were going to say than you planned on, and try to say what you have to say in 1 minute. We know that's not a lot of time. We know that's not a lot of time, but the goal is to get people the chance to have their say. And I'll make one other request, and that is if someone else says something pretty close to what you have in mind saying, stand up and give them a thumbs up. And we will know how many of you are here to support that particular program or point, because that will help us as a council gauge what's obviously a lot of community interest in parts of this budget. So if someone else does a reasonably good job of making your point, stand up and give them a thumbs up, and us as well, and that will help us and also therefore save some time on the agenda tonight for those that do want to speak. We will start losing council members in a couple of hours, and we lose this room at 9 o'clock. So we'll try to get as many people in as possible. Finally, again, we're going to give a couple of elected officials the first shot, and then there were a few people. I'll get as close as I can to this microphone. Back away. Okay. How's that? Better? Hey, okay, I'm teachable. We had a few folks signed up at the last hearing who did not get a chance to speak, and if they're here, we're going to let them come next after former Mayor Bud Clark and former County Commissioner Serena Cruz Walsh. Welcome, both of you, and take it away from there.
Try again.
And
there we go.
Get about 6 inches away from it, as I just learned to do, Serena.
Thank you so much, Mayor Hales, commissioners. It's a sad occasion to be here tonight to testify on behalf of, not sad in terms of how much I care deeply for the Clark Center, sad in terms of the situation that you're facing. A $21 million cut is not easy, and I certainly understand that facing those types of cuts and the types of decisions that you have in front of you today, and I don't envy you in the slightest. I would like to thank you for your longtime support of the Clark Center. I understand that the add-back package contains a significant amount of funding back for the Clark Center, but I'm here to emphasize how important it is to continue full funding for the Clark Center. It serves about 700 people a year. It represents half of the city-funded shelter beds for men. Half of the city-funded shelter beds for men. The program is remarkably effective at moving people into housing. More than half of those residents move directly into permanent and stable housing, and on the passage of the most recent Housing Bureau's 10-year plan reset yesterday, I know all too well what a priority you all place on permanent housing, as well as the ability to keep a roof over people's heads until they can get there. The Clark Center has strong community support and legions of volunteers. We leverage county, private, and in-kind donations in excess of $200,000 a year. So we're asking you to fill that gap between the $538,000 original cut and the $400,000 that you're proposing to bring back, so that we can fully move people off the streets and into housing. Former City Commissioner Gretchen Kafoury, who's known by some as the grandmother of affordable housing, has wanted to be here with us tonight, but she couldn't be here. So I've got a letter from her that that I'll deliver to you, so that she can share with you her passion and long-term commitment and her hopes that you will be able to continue to fund it fully. So finally, it is my honor to introduce my fellow board member and one of Portland's former mayors, the namesake of the Clark Center, former Mayor Bud Clark.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Uh-oh, is the mic on now?
There you go.
Thank you, Mayor Hales and City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'll be short, as you have a tough job, and as I know, never enough time. First, the Clark Center is a critical piece of Portland's safety net that helps tens of thousands of Portlanders when they have nowhere else to go. The Clark Center was and is an important part of Gretchen Kafoury's shelter reconfiguration plan, and that plan helped lead the way to more effective programs that end people's homelessness here in Portland. Portland's government has a national reputation for leading on homeless and housing issues, and I want to thank you, former council members, former city councils, for your support of the Clark Center. And I want to thank you for your support of the entire Portland safety net. Safety net includes rent assistance, supportive housing, showers, clothing, street outreach, winter shelter, and more, and each of these programs are critical to keeping Portland safe and healthy. You have tough decisions ahead of you, and I know it is not easy, but please do everything you can for the Clark Center and for the Portland Safety Net. Thank you. And whoop, that's just for the
Thank you, Bag. Thank you both for your service, and it's great to have you here. Thank you. Now, there are some folks that were signed up at the last forum, and they may be here tonight, and again, I want to give them the opportunity to do tonight what they didn't get to do then, and that is to come up and speak. So let me call the first four, Cody Goldberg, Kelly Almore, Barbara Gibson, and Richard Dickinson. Are any of you here? They gave up on us. Are you here? If not, how about William Barnes, Tom Karwacki, and Kathy Oliver? Here's Kathy. Come on up, Kathy. Thank you.
Well, I am persistent.
Pays off.
So first of all, I wanted to urge you to provide full funding for the safety net services. That they're exactly what the name implies. They're funding for the most vulnerable people in Portland, and they're a safety net so they don't fall off the edge. But primarily, I'm here to request funding for outside-in syringe exchange program. Funding has been eliminated from the city's budget. The city has been providing $65,000 a year, and for the last few years it was funded through a special appropriation from the mayor's office. It's funded jointly by the county and the city. The program is about $200,000 a year. The county provides 2/3 of the funds and the city 1/3. The county funds it for public health reasons and the city for public safety. We're exchanging 500,000 syringes a year. So we're preventing 500,000 syringes from being tossed in the parks, on streets, and perhaps causing accidental needle sticks. And one last quick thing, there is a ban currently on use of federal funds for this program. So we're totally and completely dependent on you. Thank
So
you.
Kathy, just so you know, it is on the list for consideration for the special appropriation. I carried it over from last year, so it's there. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Folks, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of support for a lot of speakers. If you could show your appreciation by twinkle fingers or thumbs down, because that way we can get more folks up to talk.
Okay, let me call up the next four, and then four more to be on deck. We have some on-deck chairs up here, right up in front, so that way you can get up here and be ready. So the four that will come, please, right to the table to testify: Michael Kay, Jim Andrews, Nancy Jason, and Jennifer Ferguson. And then on deck, Preston Pulliams, Cher Hinnerman, Cindy Lopez, and Harold Clark. So the on-deck folks, please, over here to the side. And the first four I called come up to the table, and that way we'll keep this moving smoothly. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Jim Andrews. I've lived in the Buckman neighborhood since 1974 until about a year ago when I moved a few blocks into the Kearns neighborhood. I've testified over the years many times to keep Buckman School open, which finally succeeded, and it's now a flourishing arts magnet, and to keep Buckman Pool open. Parks should recognize what a good thing they have in Buckman Pool. The school district paid to build it, and they pay the utilities to operate it. It's a bargain. It's not a big expense. Buckman Pool is the closest thing we have to a community center in inner southeast Portland. We're the only quadrant of the city that doesn't have the year-round community center. And when the Washington High Site Community Center gets built, then you can talk about closing Buckman Pool. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Hi, my name is Nancy Jason. I'm a family advocate from Human Solutions, and I'm here to talk about Key Not a Card program. Its eligibility is very low barrier. It's just chronically homeless, and it's a loose definition. Head of household has to have a disability, undocumented is okay, and at least one child in the custody or DHS plan to return. It's a 12-month program, and it creates stability for children. It supports families with more complex situations and higher needs. It has minimal limitations and program requirements that creates a lot of flexibility that I, as an advocate, can work with families. We can rehouse families even though they've been evicted within the 12-month period due to whatever challenges they have. It's a harm reduction model, and so it's very cost effective to the community. There's studies that stats that we show that it reduces emergency visits, police encounters, jail, prisons, mental health episodes. So it has high retention rates, and so please do fully fund our program.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yes, just pull the microphone over.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Ferguson. I'm a former participant in Keen Auto Card. And basically, I'm just coming to urge you guys, please, to fully fund this program. I was a former drug and alcohol problem, I should say. But anyway, I was in the shelter, and my kids were given back to me. We were in a little teeny tiny room, and I had so much time to be able to get stable housing for me and my kids. And this program is so awesome because it's flexible, and I was able to get on my feet, restore my bonding with my kids, my relationship with my kids. I am clean and sober to this day, yay, and yeah. I'm going to school, and this is an awesome program. I just urge you guys not to cut any of the funds for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Michael Kay. I was the person who sold drugs in your community since 1987. Went through the revolving door to jail 49 times, 5 times in prison, for a total of 12 years and 5 in the county jail, at a tune of $50,000 a year, your hard-earned tax-paying money. On November 12th, I was introduced to the Southeast Works program. With the help of the dedicated staff at Southeast Works, I have gained the tools and confidence to accomplish what I have accomplished today. I could have never done it without them. For 25 years, I tried to do it my way, always with the same results: jails, institution, and a huge tax drain on your tab. The people at Southeast Works showed me how to fill out the applications, make resumes, be on time, and keep trying when I wanted to go back to my old ways. I now join every one of you in the workforce being a productive tax-paying member of society, and owe it all to the staff of Southeast Workforce and God. If it weren't for these two entities, I would assuredly be causing wreckage, costing money, and living off your tax-paying money. Dropping the Southeast Works program is the answer to keeping criminals in the system and costing the taxpayers money. Southeast Works is what did it for me, and I know in my heart, and the answer for so many people coming out of jail or prison. Do not cut this program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. We invite the next panel up, and while they're doing that, could I get a show of hands of people who are here tonight with young children and who are signed up to speak? Okay, we've got just a few of you. I think we'll take you next. So. Yeah. Shorter than they are. Preston, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to testify tonight. I'll be very brief. I understand you have time limits. I'm coming before you to ask for consideration on extending the funding for Future Connect. This is a visionary program between the City of Portland and Portland Community College and others in this community, focusing on giving students, low-income students, an opportunity to be successful as college students. We started 2 years ago. It began with a shared vision between the college, the community, and the city. And we feel that it's critical in terms of keep this program moving forward. We cannot lose the momentum here. Who are our students? They're low income, the first in their family to go to college, primarily from East Portland. They are all students who want to give back to the city through the opportunity to receive an education. In a moment, Sheriff Heineman will also talk about the business support for our program. Just a few weeks ago, the City of Hillsborough committed $100,000 of their city funding for this program because of the success we've had in Portland. We're also planning to expand it to Beaverton and Hillsborough. I understand budget challenges you face. We face them also at the college. But I'm asking tonight, as you develop the budget, to please include funding for this great program for Future Connect. Give these young students an opportunity for a bright future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Cher Heineman. I represent the College Foundation Board, and I chair the Corporate Partnership Committee. And I can tell you from our corporate and philanthropic partners that we care about this program so much that we have already set aside the match money to match you. We just need you to commit again for the third term, and it's a stellar investment. The results are amazing, with over 70% of the first cohort returning for the second year of school and over 90% of the second cohort returning. So we're eagerly looking forward to this third cohort and its success. These return rates are over twice what the average college student is able to attain and 3 times better than the average low-income first-generation student. So the wraparound services work. And so it's clear that Future Connect guides this vulnerable student population from hopelessness and potential dependency as they are guided through the education system to be successful. And our higher ed partners agree, as PSU and Lewis and Clark have already got 4-year scholarships for these kids. So don't let us down. Keep with us. Let's get more kids in this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to begin by having our fellow Future Connect students stand to recognize them for supporting us here today. So I wanted to thank you, Mayor Hales, commissioners, for allowing me to testify here today. My name is Cindy Lopez. I am a former Roosevelt High School graduate. I'm a first-year student in Future Connect, and I appreciate that the work this program does. It supports its students. I receive one-on-one coaching from my life coach, Rebecca Moyer, who has been more than just an advocate. She has become a mentor and a person who I can count on for outside of college help. My career aspiration is to become a lawyer and from there become a local politician. I know that I can reach my goal because Future Connect is taking me in the right path. As a part of the program, I can say with all honesty that the coaches stand by our side so that we can define our own meaning for success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Harold Clark, Jr. I want to thank the Mayor, Charlie Hales, and all the city commissioners for letting us speak to you today. PCC has been helping me out on an academic level and financially as well. Future Connection helps guide you and steer you in the right direction where you want to go career-wise so that you don't waste your time in college and lose your sense of direction. With that said, I appreciate the help you provided for all of the 500 students and me. That truly stands out and means something to me, and it means a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for coming. Thanks. Thank you. Come on up, and again, if there are others that are here with young children tonight and would like to get an early opportunity to speak, we'll extend that courtesy. There's some chairs up here where you can wait to testify after these folks do. Good evening. So who's going to go first? Just tell us your name. Go right ahead.
Hi, my name's Teresa Graham, and I'm here to support Sun School. For the past year or two, I've been at Robert Gray Sun School, and it helped me do homework and make a lot of friends. But I heard last year that Sun School was going to be cut, and I was really sad about it because that's where it helped me do homework. And I was like, how am I going to do this? So I was going to come here last year, but I didn't. But this year, I'm going to try to save Sun School so kids who's coming to Robert Gray could have a chance to go to Sun School.
She's at Robert Gray.
Robert Gray Middle School.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
My name is Juniper, and I am 6 years old. I am learning at Buckman Pool, and it is the best pool ever. Last year I was an otter, and now I am a polar bear because you kept the pool open for kids like me. It is the only pool close to me, and my mommy can't drive. I love my teachers, Kim and Chelsea. Please keep the pool open. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I can't drive due to a vision impairment, and I'm also a single mom and a student, and Buckman Pool is really close by, and this is the one activity that she really, really loves, and it's a life skill. It's very important for her to learn how to swim, and I'd really appreciate it if you could keep it open again. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. If we have small children with us, if I let my son talk, it would be way longer than the 2 minutes. My name is Robin Hanel. I live at 4626 25th Avenue in Northeast Portland. I'm an economist. I'm professor emeritus from American University and have been teaching as a visitor here at Portland State University for the past 4 years. This is the most important point. When there's still too much unemployment and no imminent danger of inflation, fiscal austerity is insane. Economic theory predicts it, history proves it, and any competent economist who is not in the service of the 1% will tell you as much. Five years after the financial crisis of 2008, unemployment remains intolerably high, higher in Oregon than elsewhere, and there is a real danger that government budget cuts will send us back into negative growth and recession, while there is no danger of inflation in the foreseeable future. In this context, for our elected officials in Washington to be focused on long-run deficit reduction, instead of fiscal stimulus to get people back to work, increase production and income, and thereby increase tax revenues as well, and for our president to volunteer to cut Social Security benefits, even though the Social Security Trust Fund is not in deficit and will be solvent for decades, is not only mean-spirited, it is bad economics.
Let me ask you to wrap up because of the time limit. So. Obviously, you got some folks that support your position.
I know Portland City Councilors don't get to vote in Washington or in Salem. I know that your fellow politicians in Washington and Salem who persist in these counterproductive fiscal austerity have dealt you a bad hand to play from. But you do not serve the citizens of Portland when you merely sit in judgment over which public services and local initiatives will be sacrificed on the altar of austerity. Instead, there are two more productive uses of your time. We need you to press your political colleagues in Washington and Salem to do an about-face, to address the real problem of unemployment and the real danger of sliding back into full-blown recession, and to stop their austerity nonsense. I know that we voters are primarily responsible for impressing that upon them, but quite frankly, each of you has more influence with them than we do. We need you to do that. We also need you to stop focusing on what parts of the city and county budgets to cut and focus instead on how to raise more revenue from those who can best afford it here in Portland. Because otherwise, every choice you make is a Faustian bargain. Right now, it is far more useful for you to focus on how to raise local revenues to avoid further cuts and how to do it in a way that does not further penalize those who can least afford it.
Increasing TriMet fares and charging a head tax per household to keep art teachers in the schools are not how we should be raising revenues in Portland. I'm almost done. Lack of leadership from you on the revenue front is partly responsible for those poor stopgap measures. If you lack for good ideas, you should hold hearings on how to increase local revenues fairly instead of hearings like this over what to cut by how much. And if you do, if you hold hearings on that subject, I promise I will bring you a delegation of local economists to testify with a list of better alternatives. Thank you very much.
Hey folks, can we have your attention? We got the next group at the microphone here. Please, welcome.
Hi, my name is Francisca Flores, and I want to ask to the City Council not to cut the pass-through dollars to the SUN program. My daughter attends the SUN program almost every day, all of the year, except holidays, because I am a single worker, parent. With a son, I will have to quit my full-time job in order to take care of my child. This will be sad because I have been working to get certified as a child development associate. My daughter loves SUN because it gives children opportunity to develop skills in different areas and to learn. The staff that work at SUN have support my family in so many ways. SUN has helped my family get warm clothes, food, and small gifts, books, and bicycle during the holidays. During 2011, I had time to surgery. I have a surgery, and SUN family helped me and organize meals for us. Please don't cut SUN.
Thank you for coming. Thanks very much. Just pull that microphone a little closer to you there. There you go.
So first I would like to read something that my brother wrote. He said, "SUN School had a huge impact on my life. If SUN School wasn't here, I wouldn't be doing this good in school right now. SUN has helped me through all these years. The SUN School teacher has helped me with everything in school and non-school related things. School is an extra challenging for me because I have a learning disability. SUN School helps me so much with helping me around in the challenges that come up during school. If SUN School was canceled, school would be way harder, and not only for me, but for all other kids that go to SUN School for help in every day. In 7th grade, I had made a lot of bad choices that led me almost getting expelled. I had an advocate at SUN School help me to, instead getting expelled, I got an in-school suspension. I was so appreciative about that. I got another chance. If SUN School wasn't here to help me through that, I wouldn't be writing this letter right now. I am passing all my classes, and I've gotten trouble since the 7th grade. I am so grateful for everything SUN School has and the teachers have done. Please keep SUN School going."
Thanks. And tell us your name.
I'm Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie. Thanks for coming. Appreciate that.
Good evening, City Commissioners and Mayor Hales. My name is Carson Blake. I live at 202 Southwest Custer Street, 2 blocks from Fulton Park Community Center. And due to last year's budget cuts, Fulton Park was closed. I thought I had lost the only safe place in my neighborhood where I could go before and after school to do activities with my friends. Then I discovered SUN Community School at Robert Gray. I literally go to SUN School morning, noon, and night. My dad drops me off at school an hour before classes start. I go there in the morning for open gym. I either do my homework or play basketball with my friends who go there too. At lunchtime, I go to SUN School to play pool with my friends and also get a head start on my homework for the homework I've been assigned that period. At night, I go to SUN School get us started on my homework, and I have many classes. Here are some of them: art class fusion, hip hop dance, cooking, gardening, computer SketchUp, and junior entrepreneurship. Sun supports working families by giving their children a safe place to socialize and learn at a safe time. Without Sun School, many of us would be left at home alone, unsupervised, and playing video games or watching TV, activities that are not as productive as the ones offered at Sun School. For the first time in my academic career, I have made the honor roll. I give full credit to Sun School for achieving this goal. The cuts to programs in the neighborhood have already been too deep. Please do not eliminate the last place for kids like me to have fun with friends and socialize and be able to learn new skills once more.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isaac Batiste and I go to Jackson Middle School, and I'm here to talk about Sun School. Well, Sun School was the one place I finally found myself. Throughout 6th grade in elementary school, I wasn't really the most popular kid or a happy kid. But when I found Sun School, it kind of all just clicked for me, and I joined sports, and I learned a lot more about myself and about people around me. And Sun School was probably the reason for that. And if you cut Sun School, my time, I don't know how to say this, but I love Sun School, and Sun School is a fun place for me to meet new people and just try and be my best, the best that I can be. Before I found Sun School, I used to always think of, oh, well, I'm not the best person in the world, and I'm not better than this person. But now that I found Sun School, I've seen all of my successes and I've seen everything. And now I'm getting close to passing grades, and I'm getting all B's in classes, and I'm actually doing well in classes. When I was back not Sun School, I'd have F's and I'd have D's, and I've had everything but A's and B's and C's. And Sun School has helped me find who I was, not only academically, but also emotionally and physically. Sun School is like my second home. I've always thought of it like that, and I've always will. If you cut Sun School, you'll be taking the part of not only me, but every colored person in the Jackson school. Because we all go there and we all have a great time and we all see each other. And it's kind of necessary because I'm a black kid in a predominantly white school. So when I go into my classes, all I see are white faces and a white teacher. And then we started this thing on slavery. And it was kind of awkward to me at first because I thought, wow, I did not know all of this. And everything is so confusing to me now. And then when I go to Sun School, I talk to the Sun School providers, and people would help me through everything I feel. Sun School has helped me with a lot of my insecurities and a lot of my emotional stress. And if you cut Sun School, it's kind of like saying it's not really there.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
My name is Tara, and I'm a student at Portland Community College. Without Sun program, I wouldn't be able to continue my schooling. My daughter goes 5 days a week.
That's pretty scary.
I think she's going to pass.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you all. Okay, do we have any more parents with young kids that want to take this opportunity to come up? We just wanted to give them the chance to let those kids get back to their homework. Thank you for coming. Okay, so I'm going to call Tom Karwacki because I think I saw him come in and he signed up last time. And then let me also call up some additional folks. Yes. Yeah, he's here. And Stephen Siegel, Ann Trudeau, and Nick Caleb. Could you come up as well? And then on deck over here, ready to come up, after them, Sally Jockin. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. I no doubt will mispronounce some. Bernard Kaser, Robin Hanel, and Lakeitha Elliott. So if you could stand by over here and let these folks go first. Tom, you're on.
Thank you very much. My name is Tom Karwacki, University Park Neighborhood Chair, Association Chair, and Treasurer of the University Park Business District. I was late because we got stuck in the traffic from filming of Grimm in the middle of St. John's. And they're taking all the center of St. John's to do it. The discussion right now is with respect to the ONI budget, and it's certainly in favor of full support for the ONI, especially North Portland Neighborhood Services. And I'm also the chair of the North Portland Neighborhood Services, Inc., which is the insurance arm. And we'd certainly, otherwise we have to start limiting the amount of insurance we can provide to other neighborhood groups, so it's very important to provide full funding for that. The amount of money that would be saved through these cuts is very small, and the impact on the community and the livability of this community would be great. So that's it.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Tom. Go ahead. Oh, sure, go ahead.
No disrespect. Is this on?
It is.
Okay, I just want to
hold it about 6 inches away from your face.
My audience.
About 6 inches away, and we'll get the feedback. There you go.
My name is Stephen Siegel. I'm a school counselor, and I've worked in public education for 20 years. I'm also a parent of 2 young children attending Portland Public Schools. I've been closely watching what kind of a city and what kind of a world the austerity cuts vision is creating for my students and my children, and I'm disgusted. Despite what the council and mainstream media claim, there is no shortage of money in Portland or in Oregon. We live in the richest country in the world. One that has huge concentrations of that wealth at the top. I'm talking about the rich and their corporations who, despite the economy, have been making record profits. Right? Nike gets 30 more years of a huge tax break guaranteed, but we're sitting here looking at cuts to homeless shelters and youth programs. That's just plain immoral. We refuse to choose. All of you who are in favor of a no-cuts budget, would you hold up your signs or your thumbs or something? There you go, Council. All right, there you have it. Clearly the majority is in favor of a no-cuts budget. Please do your job and represent the people. No more excuses, no more, we're sorry and sad, but we have no money. No, go get the money, raise revenue, enough cuts. You're united in our demands for a no-cuts
My name's Ann Trudeau. I live in Northeast Portland. If you look on the table, if you go out to the right, there's 20 questions our city council needs to answer before they pass the fiscal year budget. I added one this morning. How much time did the Nike lobbyists get that you met with last week? Did they get 2 minutes or was it 1? I think they got more, and I think we deserve more too. Where's the discussion of revenue options in the budget analysis? Where is it? Is Portland discontinuing corporate tax breaks to remedy the financial shortfall? Question 4. Why are city officials considering an enterprise zone for Nike? Nike has billions in offshore tax shelter accounts. That company just locked in a too low tax rate at the state level, and then the city of Portland gave them more last week. Don't accept the message that there's no money. That's austerity talk. There's plenty to go around. I want budget hearings that focus on revenue instead of layoffs and cuts to essential services.
Without the mic, can people hear me okay? Yeah. My name's Nick. I'm a university professor at Concordia in Northeast Portland, and I see all sorts of stuff going on up there that's pretty sad. People kicked out of their homes all the time, having to face cuts. I was going to talk about the history of austerity in a minute. Ain't going to cut it. Can't do anything with a minute. I would say that we need to demand more of these hearings, and exactly like Robin Hanel and some other people have said, let's tax the rich. There's money here. We're just not talking about it. the revenue are not on the chopping block right here. It's not right. It's not fair. If you've never been in a highly charged political environment before, look around you and look at how much energy in this room there is right now. It's the start of a movement. Don't leave here tonight without signing up for different groups and meeting and finding out what your next steps are.
Come on out.
My name is Sally Jochen. I live in Southeast. And I want all...
Sally, just pull that microphone a little farther away from you.
Farther away.
There you go.
I want, and I think we all want businesses to come to and to stay in Portland. The kind of businesses I want are the ones that are committed to the community, that the city doesn't have to bribe with tax breaks. But I ask whether business people will want to come here if there are not enough school teachers, no well-educated workforce, deteriorating parks, crumbling streets, and decreased city maintenance, no jobs and services for people coming home from prison, people lacking drug treatment and mental health care, more foreclosed homes, and more individuals sleeping in doorways. People who understand economics know that this is the time to invest in Portland. We did not create the current economic situation, and we should not be forced to shoulder the burden. But Portland is not really broke. The question is not whether there is money, but where is the money? I say it is City Council's job, after multiple years of cuts, to get the funds now to sustain this great city. And I ask people in this room, if you agree with me that it's time to invest in Portland, please stand up or hold on.
Thank you. Just pull that microphone over. There you go. Yeah, you can use that microphone right there. Just pull it closer to you. There you go.
Hi, my name is Marnie, and I think that the Sun School shouldn't be cut because most kids go there and we all like it. If the Sun School gets cut, what are kids supposed to do after school? And all parents know that they want their kids to be happy and try new things. And parents know that some kids who needs extra help should go to the Sun School. And most parents don't stay home, so kids have something to do after school, and they know they'll be safe. Most parents know that they need their free time.
It's okay. Go ahead and tell us one more thing that's in your mind.
Well, if Sun School gets cut, I wouldn't know what I'll do after school, and it will probably affect my grades if I don't get the extra help. And it happens to most kids who don't get the extra help that they need, and usually that's how they get bad grades and they don't do well out in life.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Milo Hudson. I go to Franklin High School. I'm a freshman over there. PPS, the city and TriMet provide us with TriMet passes for the majority of the school year, about 9 months. And it's really incredibly useful. I travel on 3 different TriMet buses every weekday to get to and from school, and it's really my only means of getting there. I can't get a ride or anything. It's just that's my only way. I also use it in my free time, like on weekends, to go to recreational activities and visit friends. And I appreciate that it's being provided. It's been confirmed that it will be provided next year, but the next 2 years and onward hasn't been confirmed, and I would very much appreciate it for it to be a permanent service. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Lakeitha Elliott, and I'm a community organizer at the Urban League of Portland. My position is funded through the Office of Neighborhood Involvement, through the Diversity and Civic Leadership Program. I'm a graduate of that program and now have come back to work at the Urban League to train other people to do what I've done since my participation in that program. I've been a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. I'm the PTA president. I'm involved in a whole lot of things in a whole lot of places. And so the investment in one person being trained doesn't just touch that one person. It touches the whole community. It touches a lot of different places. And so I would urge you to continue to fund those types of programs, including the East Portland Action Plan, where a lot of people don't have access to that type of civic engagement and those types of things that we need people out there who can coordinate and involve and engage a diverse group of people. I'm also a former SUN program coordinator, and my child has participated in the SUN program. That's a valuable, strong program. She's currently in high school and has participated in the Summer Youth Connect program. And this year will be eligible for your Summer Works. And so I want to say something you haven't heard a lot, but thank you for continuing to fund Youth Pass and Summer Works and those types of programs and showing us that you value those. I'm also here to deliver some notes from the people from our Urban League Senior Center who are asking you not to cut senior services and programs. They are here in the audience, our Urban League people, and we would love to have you continue to offer those services too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. And
mi nombre es Claudia Carrillo.
My name is Claudia Carrillo.
Y soy de Latino Learning Community.
And I am from Latino Learning Community.
Nosotros estamos pidiendo que nos apoyen con subvenciones.
Support us with grants.
Porque nosotros damos talleres informativos a la comunidad latina.
We give informative workshops to the Latino community.
Y damos charlas sobre violencia doméstica, sobre cómo involucrarnos en la comunidad.
It gives a lot of information to how to get involved in the community and domestic help.
Cómo ayudar a los niños en la escuela.
How to help the kids in school.
Cómo involucrar a los padres en la escuela.
How to get the parents involved in the schools.
Y esto nos ha ayudado a crecer muchísimo.
And that's helped us grow a lot.
Yo soy una líder en la comunidad.
I am a leader in the community.
Y quiero que la gente sea líder en su comunidad.
And I want the people to be leaders in their community.
Y teniendo esos talleres,
and having
la gente empieza a involucrarse.
the people are going to begin to get involved in their community.
Nuestra meta es
Our goal is
tener muchos líderes
to have a lot of leaders.
Y que nuestros hijos vean que somos líderes para que ellos
and that our kids will see that they're leaders so that then they can
ellos sean muy buenos líderes en la comunidad.
Also be good leaders in their community.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you.
Buenas tardes por darnos la oportunidad de estar aquí.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Y también estoy apoyando a East Portland.
And I'm also supporting East Portland
con las subvenciones.
With the grants.
El año pasado,
last year,
Parques y Recreaciones recibió una subvención para hacer un proyecto nuevo de
Parks
llevar
and
los
Recreation
parques
received
móviles.
fundings to have the mobile parks.
Y fui una beneficiada.
And I was one of the beneficiaries of that.
En el área de departamentos donde yo vivo no hay un parque seguro para los niños.
In the area, in the neighborhood that I live, there isn't a safe park to take our kids.
Y los niños tienen que estar jugando en los estacionamientos.
And kids have to be playing in parking lots.
Y propuse el área de apartamentos donde vivo.
And I put forth the apartments from where I live.
Y tuvimos muy buen alcance porque
And we
se
had
beneficiaron como 200 niños vinieron a jugar al parque móvil.
We had a good outcome because 200 kids came out to play in the mobile park.
Y todos los niños estaban felices, las familias,
And all the kids were happy, the families,
porque habían tenido por primera vez un lugar seguro para jugar.
because they had for the first time a safe place to play.
Y siempre nos preguntan, ¿cuándo van a regresar a jugar con
And they
nosotros?
always ask us, when are you going to come out to play with us again?
Finalmente tuvimos un alcance de 1,200 niños
Finally, we had an outcome of 1,200 kids,
y fue un programa piloto,
and it was a pilot program.
falta de planeación. Y este año hemos trabajado muy duro para tener mejor alcance.
And so it was lack of preparation, but this year we've worked really hard to have a good outcome.
Y necesitamos de ustedes.
And we need your help.
Thank you very much. Gracias. Hey, ladies, come on up. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Hills and City Commissioners. My name is Kathy Way, and I am here to speak out against your plan to defund the East Portland Action Plan and also cut its grants program. It's a bad idea and one that will stump innovative solutions that are happening in East Portland. I always believe that Portland is a city of innovation in our transportation and in our sustainability efforts. Innovation can be used as a catalyst for social change. It's a collaborative process through which citizens can be directly involved in shaping the way a project, a policy, or a service is created and delivered. That's something that the East Portland Action Plan does. I grew up in East Portland. My parents came to this country 20 years ago from the Southeast Asian country of Burma, also known as Myanmar, and we have one of the ugliest military regimes. We wanted what every single person wants: the freedom to raise their families without fear and a chance to see the next generation be successful. We brought our first house in America in East Portland on the corner of 135th and Mill, down the street from David Douglas High School. More than a decade ago, many of our communities did not have the opportunity to be actively involved or included in the decisions people made for our neighborhoods. City Hall divided us geographically and culturally. What EPAP did is encourage everyday citizens to come up with solutions for society's most pressing problems: lack of affordable housing, the alarming rate of high school dropouts, and violence. EPAP's grants program enabled myself and 2 other community volunteers to organize a Youth Leadership Institute for high school students. We work towards the goal of increasing academic success for underrepresented youth and increasing community building among ethnic groups. We did that as unpaid volunteers because we care about the city. We believe that citizen involvement does not end with a vote. It begins when people are actively brought together to innovate and create solutions for problems that affect us all. We hope that you fully consider funding the EPAP, including the grants program that you are currently proposing to cut.
Thank you very much. Okay, now I think we've got a group of young people over here, and we'll take you next, and then we'll go back to the sign-up sheet. Come on over.
Hi, My name is Carla Alvarez and I am one of the Multnomah Youth Commission co-chairs. This is my second year in the Multnomah Youth Commission. As co-chair of the Multnomah Youth Commission, and it is actually my 5th year involved in the Multnomah Youth Commission. I am currently a senior at the Kathleen Gable School, and I will be going to college next year. And I'm so sad because I get to leave the program that has changed my life. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Multnomah Youth Commission. The MYC is the official youth policy body for the city of Portland and Multnomah County. We are a group of young people ages 13 to 21, and 75% of the group are youth of color. We are from all over Portland and Multnomah County, and we are striving to represent as many different youth voices within our communities. Currently, we have 3 committees: the Youth Against Violence Committee, Education and Youth Voice, and Sustainability Committee. The Sustainability Committee is working on equitable access to affordable transportation. As some of you might know, the Youth Commission was founded in 1996. However, we became part of an intergovernmental agreement between Multnomah County and the City of Portland in 2007. It is through this strong pact partnership that provided us the opportunity to develop our Bill of Rights, Children Plus Youth, which Mariam is going to talk about later. Our intergovernmental agreement keeps Portland and Multnomah County in the front line of positive youth-adult partnership. We serve as a model nationally and internationally, and in fact, we are currently advising a commission in El Salvador. I have developed my leadership skills, English skills, and public speaking skills. And thanks to the MYC, I've become a strong young Latina immigrant. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miriam Nagoya Dogo. I'm a junior at David Douglas High School. This is my first year on the Multnomah Youth Commission, and I'm the co-chair of the Youth Against Violence Committee. I will be talking about our Bill of Rights, Children Plus Youth. The Multnomah Youth Commission, MYC, wanted to develop a framework to infuse youth voice into government. So that youth know their rights, the BOR is a policy that ensures that. It was developed with nearly 5,000 youth voice that came together to create the BOR. The Multnomah Youth Commission engaged with youth all over Portland through focus groups, community events, summits, and surveys. From the information collected, the Youth Commission drafted our Bill of Rights, Children Plus Youth. The BOR was adopted by the city first in 2006, and then by the county in 2007, therefore making it an official policy. This is officially your policy, just so we're all on the same page. It is your policy. This is the only document both governments have agreed on. Matt. So this is the map of the county, and it represents what the MYCers, the commissioners of this year, have been doing. The green dots are public and middle schools and high schools that MYCers go to. Orange are charter and private schools that commissioners go to. Pink are universities and community colleges. The stars are extracurricular activities that our commissioners are involved in. Green stars are civic engagement. Blue are worship and community volunteering. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jose Lopez Delgado, and I am the other co-chair to the Multnomah Youth Commission. This is my 3rd year being involved in the Multnomah Youth Commission. I am currently a junior at David Douglas High School. The Youth Commission is more than an investment in just 40 young people. It is an investment in all the youth in the city of Portland and Multnomah County. This is all made possible thanks to an intergovernmental agreement. This agreement allows us to do many things, such as support Youth Pass. Youth Pass is part of an action step tied to the Youth Bill of Rights. Youth Commissioners saw the value and set it as a priority. Today, more than 13,000 high school students benefit from having more equitable access to transportation, making employment, after-school activities, and other commitments that much more accessible. Youth Commissioners also saw the value in bringing in more community voice into our work. We started having community meetings all over the city of Portland with various youth organizations like ERCO, SMERC, Outside In, and Middleman Jewish Community Center, just to name a few. The Multnomah Youth Commission continued to see the value in including underrepresented communities in the city budget. We started to host youth budget forums, and these forums took on a more deeper look into equity and allowed youth to see their city, our city, with a lens of equity. This year, we were not able to hold a youth budget forum because we were not approached to host one, and also because we were not part of the city's budget. Through our community meetings and other community events, a common issue has started to arise: violence. Violence was affecting youth in our community at an alarming rate. To address this issue, the Youth Commission started the Youth Against Violence Committee, which is currently working on debriefing and organizing the feedback from nearly 400 young people brought together by the second annual Rob Ingram Youth Summit Against Violence. To conclude, I would like to share a little bit of why the Youth Commission is important to all of us. Growing up in East Portland all my life, I have seen the inequities, and these inequities have become part of my life, and have seemed normal to me. I thought that lack of sidewalks and lack of private crosswalks was normal. I also thought that driving 20 minutes to a grocery store was normal, and having to walk more than 10 blocks to a city park without sidewalks was also normal. Growing up, I wanted to become mayor to address these issues. I wanted to make sure that everyone had access to sidewalks and parks within 2 blocks of their communities and their houses. This is important to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to testify today. My name is Sophia Keskis, and I'm a senior at Cleveland High School, and this is my 5th year on the Multnomah Youth Commission. So I'd like to begin by telling you why I love the NYC. I love the NYC because it has taught me about the real Portland. I've had the privilege to grow up in Selwood, in Southeast Portland. Because I live in Selwood, I can tell the tale of sledding into Johnson Creek at age 9 because there was a park just 1 block from my house. And because I live in Selwood, I was able to walk to my middle school, never worrying about feeling unsafe. Because of the NYC, I learned that not everyone lives in this Portland. Because of the NYC, I've learned that not everyone has enjoyed the privileges that I have. Because of the NYC, I've engaged with youth from all over our city. Because of the NYC, I've learned that true progress comes through collaboration and through really, truly valuing others' opinions and perspectives. Because of the NYC, I've learned to use my privilege to advocate with and for those who haven't had the same opportunities as I have. And because of the NYC, I've been able to bring these tales of my experiences back to my peers at Cleveland High School, helping them to be more aware of the effects of our actions. I'd now like to thank you for your support of the Multnomah Youth Commission. Because of this commitment, we have had the opportunity to create positive change in our community. It is vital that Portland continues to prioritize youth. We are a national and international model for youth engagement and for our commitment to equity. By not funding the Youth Commission, the City Council is demonstrating that priorities have changed. City Council is demonstrating that they do not value young people's voices and that they do not value equity. How do we remain a youth-friendly city if we do not give equal consideration to those things which support youth? We ask that you please allocate $90,000 to fund the Youth Commission and maintain your commitment to an equitable and youth-friendly Portland. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Mayor,
question for you.
Before we lose this esteemed group of young people, I just want to let the public here know that this past week, a very prestigious award was issued in Portland, the First Citizen Award. And it went to Jean DeMaster, the executive director of a local nonprofit. But they also, at the same dinner, awarded the Future First Citizen Award. and it went to a Multnomah Youth Commissioner named Sophia Keskis, and she's before us today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Okay. I think we have another group of young people here, and then I'll go back to the sign-up sheet. So we'll take the four of you, and you'll be followed by Scott Fogarty, Robin Ryan, Joshua Mead, and David Goldberg. So if the four of you who I just called would come up here and be on deck, then we'll be ready. Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor and the Board of Commissioners. I had a long story to tell, but I'm going to make it short.
No, just give us your name for the record.
Yes, okay. My name is Joseph Dessou, and I'm a senior at Franklin High School, and I'm here to talk about the Youth Pass. Although I'm going to be graduating, I still feel like the Youth Pass is a very important thing for kids to have, especially in my school. Seeing where I come from Togo in West Africa, and we don't have that kind of thing. So, like, when I came here, I saw how beneficial it was to kids to have the Youth Pass, and I'm here to really urge you to continue funding, like find ways to permanently fund this program, so that students after me can have the Youth Pass, and because I feel like it's a really important, it has been a really important part of my life. So I thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate
it. My name is Alexa Leister, and I'm a sophomore at Franklin High School. I'm here to ask you to continue the Youth Pass permanently. I'd first just like to say thank you for giving us this time and for listening to what I have to say, and for giving us the Youth Pass for next year. There are three main things I want to talk about. The first is low-income students. I know many students at my school and all over Portland public schools can't afford basic necessities like clothing, school supplies, even food, and one thing they definitely cannot afford is $200 a year on a regular bus pass. The second thing is attendance. Kids who live very far away from the school, it can be very difficult to get to school on time, and but with free transportation, attendance has greatly increased. The third thing is safety. Many school activities and clubs run well into the evening, and I know that me personally and many students at my school don't feel safe walking home alone, and so with knowing that there is safe transportation encourages students to participate in their school's activities. So I just like to say thank you again and support the Youth Pass.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Nicole Johnson, and I'm the youth organizer for Opal Environmental Justice Oregon. And I'm here today to discuss two budgetary items for your consideration this year. The first is the future of Youth Pass, and the second is the East Portland Action Plan. I'll begin with Youth Pass. First, I would like to thank you for your efforts in coming to a decision to continue to fund Youth Pass for the 2013-2014 school year. Through my organizing work at Opal, I've had the opportunity to talk to many students in East Portland who don't receive this benefit. They feel like they're neglected by their city. They have after-school activities, jobs, and places to go to. My ask is that you continue funding the Youth Pass and continue to work hard with partners such as Opal and the Multnomah Youth Commissioners to find a permanent way to extend and expand the Youth Pass program. Youth Pass is not just about giving youth transportation to get to school. It's about providing equitable opportunities to enrich their lives. And secondly, I am an East Portland resident, and I have been for almost a year. Through my work at Opal, I was able to learn about and become engaged with the work of the East Portland Action Plan, which I'm truly grateful for. They have provided funding to support the work at Opal, not only for our East Portland bus stop project, but also the work to engage East Portland students around Youth Pass. We all know that historically, East Portland has not received their fair share of city resources.
EPAP, East Portland Action Plan, has created intentional space for our community to engage and take ownership for issues that affect them, such as the Transit Rider Subcommittee, which focuses on making equitable transportation for East Portland residents and youth. Without EPAP providing guidance, staff support, and small grants, none of this would be possible and, more importantly, fun. So I ask that you fully fund EPAP so that we can all continue to engage in our community, and together we can make East Portland the best that it can be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Monica. I go to Cleveland High School. I work at Buckman Pool, and I went there in elementary school, and I remember going there to swim was like the best part of every week. And so I would really like you to make an effort to keep that open, if that would be possible. That'd be great. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that work there, and it gives me something to do in the summer. It's also like money, so that's good. So I can buy things. And I learned how to swim there when I was very young, and I now do high school swimming. And I went to state for the past 2 years, so I'd say that was a good thing in my life. And I would really appreciate it if you tried to keep that pool open. That is all.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay, next panel. Come on up, please.
Good evening. My name is Brighton West. I'm speaking on behalf of Scott Fogarty, who had to go home and take care of some kids. So I'm with Friends of Trees, and I'm here to oppose the big cuts to all the green infrastructure programs through the Bureau of Environmental Services. You all are familiar with Friends of Trees community building, but what seems to be the theme tonight is jobs, and I want to talk about jobs. I want to talk about jobs at the Bureau of Environmental Services that are cut when we cut the green infrastructure program. There are jobs, there are Friends of Trees employees, many of them are here mixed in with our volunteers tonight. Those are the jobs that are being cut. Verde, the local nonprofit, living wage jobs. Local nurseries, jobs in parks with the American Elms program, the Protect the Best program. These things are passed through from the Sewer Bureau, and I know pass-through money has become something evil, but it is a great way to move money to other bureaus who can do things, who are experts in those things like protecting our elm trees, which in turn clean our storm water. So let's let the rates increase as they were expected to increase this year, as they were planned to increase, and not cut more jobs. Thank you.
Thanks, Brighton.
Hello, my name is Joshua Mead. I'm the manager of a transitions planning program at an alternative 6th through 12th grade school called Mount Scott Learning Centers in Southeast Portland. I'm here tonight to speak in support of PCC and the Future Connect Scholarship Program. I just wanted to share, a couple of the mainstream messages we send to young people about college is that if you get a bachelor's degree and or associate's degree, you'll earn more money than a student without one, or the more advanced your degree, the higher income you will make. For students that have had parents or siblings that went to college, it's not a choice, but an expectation for those students. By now, you should know some of the most important stats about low-income first-generation college students that lack support. 89% of first-generation low-income college students leave college within 6 years without a degree. 89%. More than 25% drop out after their first year without support. And these students are more likely to work while in school, have more financial obligations, and be less likely or are less likely to be academically prepared for college. Over 90% of the students that I serve are first-generation low-income college students. And as a teacher and a manager of a transitions program, it's very difficult for me to encourage a student that comes from poverty to go into a post-secondary education without support and gain more debt. The Future Connect program is a program that provides incredible mentoring to students, not only in college, but before they arrive. This is a scholarship, but the emphasis is not on financial support, although it does help. The emphasis is on a relationship-based mentoring program designed to make college a good investment of a young person's time, assisting them to receive the education they need for a living wage job without increasing the financial burdens of students already in poverty. Please continue to support this program.
Good evening, my name is Robin Ryan. I am a serial volunteer and recovering salesperson. I addressed you tonight as a member of the homeless community, which I became 2 years after having been foreclosed on in 2010 by a bank I now know broke the law. Though I've been a law-abiding citizen my entire life, I spend nights in a shelter where I'm required to accept what I consider a correctional facility management approach. I see the destitute vilified and compare this against the manner in which the narcissistically corrupt enjoy being glorified. It's difficult to reconcile these realities with the starry-eyed idealist I lay claim to being. But if one as simple as myself can plainly see that without the equal application and enforcement of the rule of law, anarchy is a thing we need not fear arriving. It is already on site at the hands of the affluent. If I can see that, why can't you? You who claim to serve a public but choose to reflect the will of an affluent few. Until such time as you're prepared to respect existence, you can safely assume what you can expect from me in return is resistance.
Hi, my name is David Goldberg, and I'm here with the People's Budget and Solidarity Against Austerity. And previous speakers have suggested finding revenues from places that aren't hurting for money. One such area would be urban renewal zones. Once an urban renewal zone is established, property tax revenues for the general fund are frozen at that year's level. Using a gimmick called tax increment financing, all increases in assessed values are deemed to be the result of the renewal zone's improvements. But because of the new demand within the zone for public services, urban renewal zones do not pay for themselves and actually become a drain on the general fund. At the Charlie Hales for Mayor website, in a piece called Resizing and Refocusing Urban Renewal, he promised to ask the tough questions about urban renewal. You estimate that for the fiscal year 2010 to 2011, urban renewal deprived the general fund of $30 million. Your piece concludes, in California, the state has effectively shut down urban renewal to stop the diversion of revenues from basic services. And you conclude, if we don't get better control of our urban renewal system, our citizens could decide the same tool is necessary in Portland. A lot of citizens here feel we've reached that point, and the time to ask the tough questions is now. Considering them after you make these drastic cuts is probably too late. And if anyone would like to join our band of concerned citizens, please see me and we'll sign you up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let me call on Chris Lopez, looks like Betty Coddington, David Garcia, and Joe Walsh. And then let me have the next four be on deck, please, and ready to come up. Nancy Newell, Ajami Umi, Galina Niara, and Mark, it looks like Buchholz. Not sure if I'm reading it correctly. So come on up and be ready after these four. Thank you very much. Go ahead, thanks.
Hi, my name is Chris Lopez. I'm the president of Northeast Coalition of Neighborhoods. Sorry.
There you go.
Chris Lopez, president of Northeast Coalition of Neighborhoods. We are a nonprofit dedicated to the health, safety, and livability of our inner north and northeast communities. and one of 7 district coalitions of the City of Portland, within the City of Portland's neighborhood involvement system. Mayor Hales, Commissioners, I'm here tonight to ask you, to implore you really, to spare the budget of the Office of Neighborhood Involvement, and by extension, the budget of NECN and our partner Resolutions Northwest. NECN, we do yeoman's work. It ain't glamorous, but it gets done, and we can barely do what we're doing with what we have. We are cut not to the bone, but actually into the bone. And I wouldn't call what we do transformative, but that is how I would describe the work of Resolutions Northwest. I got involved with them because I was a party to a mediation. And anyways, in summation, as a volunteer mediator, I've seen what they can do. I've seen the power of this program. And to see 2 people who couldn't have been at more opposite sides actually come together, tears, hugs, agreement, lasting agreements, after 2 hours of mediation, it's a very special thing, and we can't let that go. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Hi, my name's Daniel Garcia. I'm with Resolutions Northwest. I'm the Restorative Justice Coordinator over at Park Rose and various other places. And yes, we do transformative work. And actually, the RJ program was started in, with a lot of support from the city and from the mayor's office initially. And in 5 years, what we managed to do is just at Park Rose, in a span of about 3.5 years, we prevented more than a year's worth of out-of-school suspension for students there. As well, we started the conversation about what does school discipline really look like? Is it punitive? What are students learning by being taken out of the school environment? And I think what we're doing is we're slowly transforming the culture. There was a New York Times article on April 3rd that mentioned Portland as one of the hot spots for restorative justice, and this is because of, in part of your support. And I get calls from Maryland, Minnesota, from all over the country asking what is going on here, and how can we be a part of that. And to support that work is to support the what's going on in the schools and to stop the school-to-prison pipeline, which is inequitable and targets our students of color. And when in 2009, all the juvenile justice intake, I think the African-American population in Portland at that time only of youth between 18 and below the age of 18 was about 9%. Yet they represented 35% of the referrals coming into juvenile justice. And that's something that we all have to be accountable for. And why is that? It starts at schools, it starts in communities, and everyone who's talked here tonight. This is what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to do the same thing, but it takes a community to do it. And I think that's the sad part, is that everybody knows what we need to do. And actually, for the first time in 5 years since I've been here, doing this work, I've seen, how we work with the Multnomah Youth Commission, the Sun School System, Portland Public Schools, Park Rose. The list goes on and on that we have collaborated with. The City of Portland doing work for you guys to get people to come together and listen. Now, if that is something that's important to you, then I implore you to, support us. You get a lot of bang for your buck. We do the work of about 3 organizations in one.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Hi, my name is Joe Walsh, and I haven't yelled at you in 27 hours.
Joe, don't get too close to that mic there.
I was at the city council meeting yesterday, and I yelled, and I was really pissed off, and it hasn't changed very much. You have a budget deficit that dropped almost $5 million since yesterday. It used to be 25 to 40 million, now it's down to 21 million. You got a D- in your transparency. Out of 30 cities, you are 24th. You got a grade of 50 out of 100. 49 is an F. You got 50. You got $57 million sitting in your Urban Development Reserve Fund. You can use some of that. You got a city attorney. Ask him how to do it. and cover your asses, because all our asses are on the line. And we're begging you, and I'm telling you right now, and if you don't believe me, ask Sam Adams and Leonard. You will not be here next time around if you do this. And I represent Individuals for Justice and the Oregon Progressive Party, and I will work to defeat every one of you if you do what you say you're going to do. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Come on up. You can. Come on up.
Hi, everybody. We are the people. We are the revenue. We are the dedicated. We are the quality of life in this city. And we have the city's internal services fund. These are the Myers and the Scrooges that will not tap into it. It's worth over $100 million. 1/4 of that will prevent these cuts. Our source of life is being taken out of our hands. We can't even give water to people that homes are being illegally foreclosed on. What kind of council is this that allows that in our city? What kind of council allows Warren Buffett, a billionaire, to own our electric service and bring in coal that causes health issues that will never be resolved, and we will never have 7 generations because coal kills and accelerates global warming dramatically. Alternatives give jobs, and health to the community. Why aren't they doing it? Why isn't it happening? Why is CH2M Hill, who's causing Hanford, who has been there making hundreds of millions of dollars on the water, on Hanford, and we're going to have a blow up in Hanford. It's time this council acted and acted responsibly.
I'm going to give the community 2 quick examples of alternatives to where the money is, where it shouldn't be. On October 30th and November 7th of last year, approximately 50 Portland police officers violently evicted 2 terminally ill people from their houses. Wow. At a cost of about $250,000 just for those 2 evictions. The solution, don't use the Portland police as mafioso hitmen for gangster criminal banks. Amen. The Portland City created a commission for racial profiling at a cost of approximately $100,000 with no conceivable results. Let me help you with that. Police profile black and brown people, all right? So don't get in this crabs in the barrel thing. Unite your hardworking people, come together, organize, hold these folks accountable to get the money back from the criminal corporations and banks that stole it in the first place.
My name is Galina. I am from the Slavic community. I'm speaking to support full funded of East Portland Action Plan. The East Portland Action Plan is our door for the Portland life. Do you know how difficult to be the immigrants? The East Portland Plan is helping us to come in, to be here, to understand life. And we have grants, we have groups of the people, we are educated children, parents, and we are here. And we very support East Portland Action Plan. Please.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. My name is Mark Buckweiss, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Greater Green program and its partnership with Friends of Trees for the Urban Tree Canopy program. 3 years ago, I became unemployed. For the first time in my life, I began volunteering. I started volunteering with Friends of Trees, first just doing plantings, later becoming a crew leader, later an intern with Friends of Trees. That eventually led to a job street tree canvassing with the city's Bureau of Environmental Services Greater Green program. I went house to house encouraging homeowners to plant trees along the street and the planting strips. The tree work filled a void in my life, which was a connection with my neighborhood and my community and the city at large. The work led me to meet people and go into neighborhoods that I would never go into otherwise. We need the Greater Green program, not only for the environmental benefits, but for the social benefits. Kids learn how to plant trees. They learn from real adults how to behave, how to improve their neighborhoods. Greater Green planted 3,500 trees this year. Each tree gets planted by a crew of about 5 people. That's a lot of lives impacted. The trees are only about $35 to $85 each, but the benefits to people are priceless. Please continue to fund this program. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for coming. Okay, let me call 4 more to come step right up and 4 more to come stand by, please. Just to come right up to the table, Alexa Leisner, Adriana Dessou, Bernie Foster, and Barbara Bernstein. I'm sorry, one more after that, Laurie Boyson. Come on up. I think we've got most of those folks. And then to come stand by, Tom Lewis, David Hampston, Rita Green. We've already had these 2 folks up, Bud Clark, Kevin Sheehan, it looks like Julia Cottle. Are they still here? Yeah, okay, so I'll call some more, but if you could go ahead and start, please.
Thank you, Mayor Hales and City Council members, for this opportunity to testify on behalf of the Office of Neighborhood Involvement. My name is Barbara Bernstein, and I am the Deputy Director of Elders in Action. We provide opportunities for high-level civic and volunteer engagement, as well as direct one-to-one support to our most vulnerable older adults. Your support of Elders in Action by holding ONE's budget harmless ensures that we are able to continue this important advocacy. For example, this coming Monday, we will be co-hosting an event with the Bureau of Sustainability regarding the comprehensive plan. They have had a series of successful events, but haven't been able to reach the older population, so they called us. The Bureau will provide the refreshments, the program facilitation, and we'll provide the people. We provide immediate responses to events that impact the lives of older adults, like the arts tax. In response to many of the calls from older adults, we established tax clinics, if you will, at Hollywood Senior Center with Impact Northwest and at Wheeler Commons, a low-income housing building. We help seniors to understand the tax and to fill out the appropriate forms. Volunteers are the heart of all our work. Our volunteers work with older adults who may otherwise fall through the cracks by providing one-to-one personal advocacy. We are offering meaningful volunteer opportunities for those who still want to be of service to our community in their retirement. Community engagement is increasingly seen as a critical core function of city governance. Elders in Action is just one of the many important programs funded by ONE. By maintaining ONE's budget intact, you are expressing Portland's commitment to high-level civic engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor Hales and City Commissioners. My name is Laurie Boyson. I'm the District Manager for the Division Midway Alliance for Community Improvement. We are dedicated to revitalizing the commercial corridor from 117th to 148th Avenues on Division Street. In May 2012, we formalized our organization and set our sights on a brighter future. Since that time, we've logged over 1,800 hours, volunteer hours, and our quarterly Take Pride in Your Neighborhood trash and graffiti removal program has removed over 2,000 pounds of trash and innumerable graffiti from our district. These cleanups are proving to be great community builders. 23 volunteers helped at our first cleanup and 42 showed up to clean at the second. We expect over 50 volunteers at our third cleanup on April 20th, and you are all invited. We have been tracking district accomplishments and are pleased to announce that this past year we welcomed 5 new businesses who brought 72 new jobs into our district. I want to thank the city for the opportunity you have given us to improve our business district with the MPI program and this unique partnership we have with PDC. District businesses and residents have long felt disenfranchised and overlooked, and the NPI program represents a small beacon of light for our portion of East Portland. One of our most difficult tasks has been fundraising. Through local collaborative and grant writing efforts, we have secured just over $33,000 in funding. This has been done in partnership with the East Portland Action Plan, the East Portland Neighborhood Office, and area fundraising. Our local involvement and support continues to grow, but the Division Midway Alliance for Community Improvement would not have the opportunity to create this support without the funding we have secured through EPAP and EPNO grant programs. I urge the city to continue supporting the growth and prosperity for all of Outer East Portland by fully funding EPAP, EPNO, and the MPI programs in the coming fiscal year. Thank you for your time and consideration.
My name is Tom Lewis, and I'm with Centennial Community Association and also a member with the EPAP Operations Committee. I am here to deliver 465 people's signature that ask to fully fund EPAP on this petition. It's essential that the East Portland Action Plan receive full support for 2013-14 fiscal year City of Portland budget recommended $279,692 allocation to fund EPAP operations, grant, and municipal partnership programs and advocacy staff to continue the important and impressive work being done that you've heard about tonight by the community to guide implementation of the action plan and support equity. The EPAP request must be fully funded. 220 have currently signed an online petition, so this is representative of the work that EPAP has done and some of the committed folks that easily picked up in the last year and a half to put their name on the line for EPAP operations.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks very much. Just pull that microphone over a little closer there. Thank you.
Hello, I am Julia Cautel, and I'm here today to share that I'm a recovering alcoholic addict who has received services through CCC and the Safety Net.
Yes!
Today I am involved in employment services, volunteer work, and I am a productive member of my community. Please continue your support of Safety Net, and thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Okay, while these folks are coming up, let me get some others on deck. Andy Meeks, let's see, Mike Ewan, Milo Hudson, let's see, Alan Hippolito, and we'll see how many of those come up, but go ahead, please. You're on.
I asked the Lord to go and put on my heart what to say to you. This is for my mother and everybody that couldn't be here. Forgotten souls, here I am once again having to stand up. Will anyone hear my cry or not? My check and food stamps come in, but it's never enough. I can't buy healthy food, it's too expensive. Once again, it's pet food in dented cans, also outdated food in trash cans to survive one more day. My bills have come in too this time. They have exceeded what my check is. Don't they understand that I'm on a fixed income? Why can't someone make sure that my bills are fixed to fit below what I get? Once again, I hear cuts for seniors or disabled. We are so close to ending up on the street with the rest of the homeless. Doesn't anyone understand or care that this could be their fate also one day? Or are we just forgotten souls? Just to look at me, I may look healthy, but so does malnutrition. When you grow up poor, the one thing you learn about is how to budget. Also that someone will always come along with another cut for you. Also that you'll never have the luxury of dying from old age. It'll be from bad health due to cuts and high bills. Not that you make, but that corporations force on you with hikes that keep you from eating right. Then when you do die, they make sure you can't even afford to be buried or cremated either. And all of this after you've worked hard all your life to make it for you and your family, you end up just another forgotten soul.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Could you just tell us your name for the record?
Oh, Rita Green.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
My name is Kevin G, and I'm a housing counselor with Hacienda CDC. Hacienda CDC provides a wide variety of services that help strengthen families by providing affordable housing, homeownership support, economic advancement, and educational services. Hacienda CDC is also a HUD-approved housing counseling agency that works with low to moderate income individuals and families to both obtain and support affordable homeownership. 5 years ago, in response to an overwhelming demand, as you all know, Hacienda began offering free foreclosure prevention counseling to any struggling Oregonian homeowner. The impact that a foreclosure has on the surrounding community is immense, as you all know. Funding from our local jurisdictions is vital, especially as we see an increase to the demand of our services. You often hear that the market is getting better, but we don't see that. We still have very many clients who are still facing foreclosure every single day. The services that the safety net organizations provide for the City of Portland reach far beyond any sort of monetary value. By assisting those who are facing foreclosure, we are helping to keep intact whole neighborhoods which might instead have been blighted by the abandoned homes of those who felt that their option was to pack up and leave. By cutting the budget for these services, the safety net will not be able to provide for the essential needs of the fabric of the city.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is David Hampston. I live in the Hazelwood Neighborhood Association in East Portland. First of all, I want to encourage you to support the East Portland Action Plan, as you've already heard earlier tonight. But I'm going to talk about revenue for transportation. I would like to encourage the City Council to create a mandatory parking district program throughout the city, similar to what you have around the central city. We already have parking problems in the Gateway district of East Portland. And I, of course, heard about the zero parking program in Sunnyside, the very notorious program that the city has accidentally set up. So I would encourage the city to create a mandatory parking program using the funds generated from that. Half of the funds would be directed by City Council. The other half of the funds would be directed by the neighborhood associations and business associations under PBOT guidelines of how the money would be used. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, David. Thank you very much. Okay, gentlemen, come on up, and while they're coming up, we'll ask Jamila Baldwin, Lin Yang, and Jeff Garber to come up and be on deck and ready. Thank you. Andy, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Hales, Commissioners. My name is Andy Meeks. I am the Volunteer and Outreach Manager with Friends of Trees. We're a 23-year-old nonprofit, and we are one of the most effective environmental organizations in Portland for getting neighbors to meet their neighbors, to engage youth and provide opportunities to learn about the fun and value of volunteer work. You've all been to our planting events. You've seen the magic that happens when people spend 4 hours planting trees and sharing a meal together, things they wouldn't otherwise do. We have a professional staff that provides quality events that has brought 3,400 people to our plantings. These are individuals in the course of one season last year donating 35,000 hours of volunteer time. We have about 400 key volunteers who provide 12 hours or more of service each year to the organization. There are people behind all of these trees we planted. The list of benefits of trees goes on, but the value that is intangible is the people. I'd like to highlight one group that we've worked with over the past 3 years, benefiting the work we've done in East Portland. It's the David Douglas High School English Second Language class with teacher Ann Downing. They're immigrant families from Somalia, Burma, the Congo, other groups. And she says that planting trees instills confidence and pride in their community today and for many years into the future as they watch their trees grow. What you do for ESL students at David Douglas is unique and makes a strong difference in their general well-being. I think this is most apparent with newcomers experiencing the first winter in Portland. The dark, rainy days and confusing American life is not so discouraging when they can go out and have such success at planting trees. They find out they can work together with Portlanders and make new friends. Your support of them is a big deal.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Good evening. My name is Michael Ewan.
Michael, pull that microphone a little closer. There we go.
Okay. Should I start again?
Please.
Right. My name is Michael Ewan, and I'm homeless. I've been homeless for 5 years. I've been down so low, I never thought I'd be able to pick myself up. But I have, with the help of Join and the safety net. I've sat where you're all sitting. I've had money, and I've had power. If you want to see the epitome of arrogance, it's sitting right here in front of you. but I've been humbled. I lost everything, and everyone I know who could help me was gone. There was a time in my life when I thought I needed no one, but after where my life has led me, I see how much someone's help can mean. This June, I start my first job in 5 years. Next week, I move inside and will sleep in my own bed for the first time since 2008. All of these changes has come from my relationship with the safety net. If it weren't for the safety net, I don't know if I'd ever been out of it. I've sat plenty of nights thinking there's no point in living. Everything about my attitude is different now. I'm here to remind you that tonight, the money given to the safety net goes to real change, and I'm the proof. The homeless label has finally fallen off me, and I can walk around as myself again. Thank you for supporting the safety net. Thank you.
You did good. That was really good. That was really good.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify this evening. My name is Alan. I work for Verde. We're here to support restoring the cuts to the Gray to Green program, including the ad packages number 2 and number 3 for the Urban Canopy program. Verde serves communities by building environmental wealth through social enterprise, outreach, and advocacy. You'll hear from one of our crew members, Antonio Rojas, about the kind of jobs that we create from social enterprise, jobs that are supported by tree planting work. And you'll hear from one of our outreach workers, Pedro, about how that tree planting work and those jobs informs his efforts in the community to build the connection between protecting the environment and making a good living. And generally, we also want to express our support for the current and future broader Gray to Green program, and we look forward to working together with our equity and conservation community partners to really use that program to drive environmental investments into low-income communities as a way to meet very traditional needs like housing and education, economic opportunity, and health. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks all. So as these three folks come up, let me call the next group, Pedro Moreno, Antonio Rojas, Dennis Kipis, and Joe Adamski. If you could come get ready over here for the next group. Thank you. Come on. And go ahead, take it away from there.
Hi, my name is Lang Yang.
And I'm Jamila Baldwin.
And we were wondering if we could use our time together.
You can, just use the same amount.
Well, I'd just like to say that we're part of the Future Connect program. And what's really unique about this program is that they, not only do they provide you with like financial like advice and stuff and those things, but they also provide us with a college success coach. And now this person isn't just your average college advisor. This person is, they are our instructor. They are our mentor. They not only know us academically, but they also know us personally. These people, these special people, let us know that it's all right to go to them and ask for support, whether that be advice about school or advice about study skills, or even advice about our personal lives as well. They provide that support for us. And as a community, well, as a student actually, it's extremely important for us to feel that sense of community, that sense of belonging, that sense of that there are people there to support us, especially as us as freshmen in college right now.
Yeah, so I'm from a first. I graduated first out of my family, my mom, my 3 older brothers and sisters, and I've always been in a low-income situation. And being in Future Connects, they always, you know, give encouragement to you, and you know, I want to change my next generation. I don't want to live off of welfare or anything like that. I want to have a career, and being in Future Connects, they always encourage you to do what you can do. They know you're strong, they know you're smart, and I like to recognize the 45 students who has given up their night to be with us, and also our coaches.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
we'd like to recognize the people who have come here to show us our support, our fellow students. If you hear your name, give a shout out, stand up, let us know that.
Don't read them off. Just ask them all to stand because we need
please stand up. Anyone, please. Fellow students, let it be known.
Stand
Show
up.
us your support.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Good job. I'll just add real quick, my name's Jeff Garner. I direct a federal TRIO talent search program through the MESD. Thank you guys, first off, for your vote in the last 2 years to fund Future Connect. With that, I will say it is absolutely, I've been in education 20 years. It's the absolute best scholarship program by far. What these guys were talking about and what you've heard tonight, the testimony from these students, is that they get this coach who's a guide that will help them graduate from college. That is the best thing going. People in Portland recognize that. Future Connect has been invited to a statewide conference to share their ideas with other people across the state. Please keep this program alive, continue this legacy. It's really, really impactful for giving students more life chances. And personally, I've seen about 10 of my students here tonight show up who would not, they told me, I wouldn't have been here without Future Connect. Thank you guys.
Thank you, thanks very much. And while these four are coming forward, let's ask Maya Chamberlain, Helen Ying, Martha Peck Andrews, and Lou Femister to come be on deck. Welcome.
Good night, everybody. My name is Pedro Moreno. I work for Verde Outreach. I work with the community, but I was in Verde landscape. I have learned about biosurf. What is used for and how is affect stored water? For this, I kindly ask you not to cut the gray to green bucket, but to give more care the organization that take care of the environment and the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Antonio Rojas, and I work for Verde Landscape. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. As a Verde Landscape crew member, I plant trees with Friend of Trees. As part of the Gray to Green programs, I am provided with 80 hours of training, employer paid health benefits with additional $225 towards to benefit my daughters. I also co-manager of the community gardens on Thomas Cooley Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm Joe Adamski with North Portland Greenway, and even though we're a bicycle trail advocacy group, we share the same concerns about the tree canopies in Portland also. A large and loud thank you to the City and Parks Bureau for finding the funding to build the bridge connecting Pier and Chimney Parks. Long overdue, it's an important feature not only for the North Portland-Willamette Greenway Trail, but also for an important piece for connecting the communities in St. John's and the city that have been divided by the obstacle of this trail, or this railroad track between the parks for over a century. However, we're not there yet. The North Portland Greenway Group recently locked horn with the tree people, representing the interests of protecting the sequoias in Pier Park, over this incomplete ADA trail stub that will terminate in the middle of the sequoia grove in the park. We had a few tense moments trying to sort this out until we came to this understanding, and that's that both groups care for St. John's, the Greenway Trail, Pier and Chimney Parks, and the trees in our communities, and that the lack of funding led to the deferred status of the ADA trails, which creates issues of equity and puts communities in a position where one group Enjoying one aspect of it threatens another aspect of that park and that community for others. We find this to be a real problem. The solution is to complete the ADA trail. The back of the envelope figure I have is $200,000 to complete the ADA trail from that 65-foot stub into the Sequoia Grove, through the park, connecting to Bruce Avenue and out to Lombard through a neighborhood greenway. And this will give total connection to all users in the community. And for, we've gone this far to build the bridge. Let's go the whole way. Thank you to the Commissioner Fritz for taking the time to sit in on the St. John's Neighborhood Association this past Monday. Dennis and I, we had our problems, and Commissioner Fritz reminded us that it's not about us, it's about the community, and we thank you for that. And also thank you to Commissioner Fish with your work with parks to bring it to the stage where North Portland Greenway Trail goes from concept to a work in progress. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Yes, my name is Dennis Keepus. I'm one of the aforementioned tree people. I really cut my speech down. I just want to help fund the ADA Nature Trail in Pier Park's Urban Forest. Natures and diverse groups are coming together now. As Joe said, Pier Park Urban Forest groups, the Giant Sequoia Grove groups, the 40 Mile Loop Trail groups, the ADA Nature Trail group, the footbridge between Pier and Chimney Park. And I got buttonholed here in this meeting, and I'm supposed to ask you to remember the seniors and senior services, especially the hiking community group also. So I think the monies will be well spent on completing the ADA path here. There's many diverse groups that are coming together, and I think the nature trail can be built completely, beginning to end, in one construction, and so please help fund the complete ADA nature trail in Pier Park's Urban Forest.
Thanks, Dennis. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Let's ask the next four to come up, and then I'll call some others to be on deck, please. Tom Henn, Frank Krawczyk, Marianne Fitzgerald, and Tim Willard. So come. You ready? Thank you.
I'm Darvel Lloyd. I'm speaking for my Chamberlain who had to leave early. She was from Friendly House, and I'm here to advocate for no cuts through the pass-through funding for the district senior centers. I just want to make a few points here that this program has been put on a pretty low priority with the Parks and Recreation Department for years, but I think it should be a high priority. In fact, if you read the mission statement for the Parks and Recreation, that it fits right in, and it also fits in with the equity statement for providing very low-income, frail elderly seniors with activities and health promotion classes of all sorts. Those people cannot afford the senior recreation program. They can barely afford to go to our activities. So I ask you to restore this, or keep this program going. It's well worth it, and I wish I could, I'll hand in my longer speech to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Mayor Hales and Commissioners, good evening. I'm Helen Ying. I'm here to just say a few things about investing in our community, making common sense investments. The other day, Jeff Merkley, at a City Club presentation, he talked about how it is important that America invests in our infrastructure. And I'm here to ask that you would invest in our human infrastructure. I think that is like the most valuable resources we have in front of us. I've been working as an educator for 30 years, so I know what it's like when you invest in our youth and provide good education. They could give back in our communities versus taking away from our community. So tonight I come before you to ask that you fund all the things that you've heard about, EPAP, the Bonaway Youth Commission, and the Sun Schools. They all will play a part in helping to invest in our human infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is David Myers with People's Budget Project, and I'm also peripherally involved with Right to Survive and Right to Dream too. And I'd just like to make just a very brief observation on what strikes me as misplaced priorities. Yesterday in the Wall Street Journal, I read an interesting article about a CEO who is kind of a tearjerker. He struck out when he left a high technology firm and went to be the chief of a old line retailer. And the tragedy is that it didn't work out, and he didn't negotiate his compensation package well, and he's going to be leaving the firm with a mere $12 million. Meanwhile, all across Portland tonight, hundreds of people will be sleeping in doorways. They're going to be lucky to have $12 in their pocket. A lot of them won't even have 12 cents. And my understanding is that, people that have tried to get themselves out of doorways, like folks at Right to Dream too, have been fined by the city. Where are our priorities? And isn't it kind of a shame that we have to come all the way out here to Montgomery Park to beg for crumbs off the table?
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mr. Mayor. My name's Lou Femister. I'm an urban forestry inspector with Parks and Recreation. I'm very proud to have that role. We're a gold medal organisation. And I'm very concerned that the budget cuts could affect the part of the Bureau that I'm involved in, that's urban forestry. In particular, there's one particular job that is pretty high on the list of jobs to be cut, and that is the Education and Outreach Coordinator. And to me, this is a very, very important job for the future of the urban forest. Some people may not consider it a frontline job, but I do, because this education and outreach position educates the public and volunteers on the importance of trees, how to maintain and manage them. And as you know, our city ordinance requires residents to maintain their own trees, and also through contractors to look after those trees. So it's really important that this position is funded, because this position organizes and coordinates these volunteers, which educates the entire population on how to look after trees, manage trees, prune small trees, and the importance of trees. And they're the eyes and ears of the city. So this job, while it may not appear to be a frontline job, I think it is the frontline job in creating the future urban forestry, the future urban forest of the city. So this job is the Education and Outreach Coordinator, and it is apparently expendable, and I don't believe it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. While these four are coming up, let me see if I can call up to be on deck Jamie Rogers, Derek Newton, Nicole Katsuros, and John Wong. Hi, welcome.
My name is Tom Henn. I'm horticulturist and a proud member of Labor's Local 483. We're here in red. We're here in red. The community's with us. I'd like to take a moment to thank the fine citizens of Portland for the opportunity to come here. Tonight I'd ask the city to reconsider the proposed closing of the tree nursery, the elimination of 50% of the greenhouse, and the associated reduction in plant production and interagency staff. Concurrent with that is a reduction in the variety and number of plants we provide for parks and the Bureau of Environmental Services. We work and live in one of the greatest urban spaces in America, if not the world, a space we call home. Speaking of homes, I wonder how those who live below Mount Tabor, adjoining the tree nursery, will feel when the tree nursery is gone. What will that space become? A raucous dog park? Will it be ball fields? A larger, busier community garden? I don't have the answers. What I do know is that while some of the plants grown at the greenhouse and in the tree nursery are available commercially, they don't come with the professional care and flexibility that happy and dedicated family wage union workers bring to the city. Most nurseries outside of the city don't provide their workers decent wages and working conditions. Therefore, their workers rely on social services for survival. City workers pay taxes and spend their money in our shops, our parks, and our community centers. They also vote for levies and bonds to support their beloved parks. When user fees increase and facilities close or aren't maintained and cost citizens more, they are less likely to support our gold medal parks, which are quickly degrading into bronze medal parks. Please reconsider keeping the tree nursery and greenhouse intact and restoring the lost positions. Finally, I have a couple questions for the mayor and council. Why is it that in times of tight budgets and hiring freezes, the city is still hiring managers? And why do we have retirees returning to work just days after they retire and double dip by drawing a pension and charge the city up to $300 an hour as the former human resources director did? Is this an efficient use of the city's limited dollars? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Frank Krausik. I'm a tree inspector with Urban Forestry. I've been a tree inspector for the past 12 years, and I currently oversee the city's ELM program. That program is currently slated to be canceled for the next fiscal year in order to save dollars. But as we know, treating any disease, not treating those elms, not taking care of them, not removing them from the urban forest when they are diseased is going to just create a lot more expenditures on the city. Typically it costs about $5,000 per tree to remove and replace, so limiting that disease is definitely something that I fully support. In addition, at Urban Forestry, we only have about 20 people to take care of thousands of city trees, and the current proposal is to cut 3 staff positions that provide services that the community really needs, while hiring a new manager to, I guess, oversee a shrinking workforce. Doesn't make sense to me, sends the wrong message to the workforce that I work with, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, so I hope you reconsider those facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mayor Hales and City Commissioners, thank you for giving us a moment to talk. My name is Tina Willard. I'm a criminalist with the Portland Police Bureau, otherwise known as a CSI investigator. I'm here to speak on behalf of saving the identification text jobs. They are not even in the add-back package. How that is going to impact us as criminalists and the ability to solve crimes and therefore reducing the fear of crime in the city of Portland is there currently are thousands of 3x5 cards where if a criminalist needs additional information on a fingerprint that is not captured in a print taken at a scene, then that information is put on the 3x5 card and they are able to capture that the next time the person comes in. That will all go away. They have extreme training in capturing high quality prints. Poor prints that are captured from a suspect that has been booked into jail, if that goes into the APHIS system where we enter fingerprints from crime scenes, which I have had the time when a print didn't hit because of the poor quality captured from other agencies, that person will therefore not be identified. One of the most recent ones, and that is critical that I'd like to share with you, was the Christmas Day homicide that happened just a few months ago. That person had palm prints from another agency that were not entered into the system. Had that been entered into the APHIS system, I would have gotten a match that next day because I was primary on that scene. There was a delay in the person's name because we had to wait for DNA to come back rather than the palm print that I had obtained from the scene. This delayed the person being captured for about 10 to 14 days. Another thing that is going to cause a problem is the IBIS system, that is a fingerprint captured out on the street by officers, where a person doesn't have information of the name when they don't have any identification. That system goes into where the ID text into our office. It is put into the APHIS system that captures the name and the match of the print taken out of the street. The officer can therefore give a citation as opposed to booking the person into jail, which takes at least 45 minutes to an hour of the officer's time. So I would, because there is so much more I'd like to share with you, I would invite you to come. I will come on my own time to explain and show you some of the effects that this will have if they are not allowed to stay in our division, because we work so cohesive together.
Thank you very much.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jamie Rogers. I work for the Portland Police Bureau. I am an identification technician in that division. Chief Reese has stated that it is critical to maintain the ability to investigate Part 1 crimes as a core service. There's a host of investigative personnel who will line up and take credit for solving crimes where fingerprint evidence is involved, and as well they should, because they do incredible frontline work. But you can lift countless fingerprints, palm prints, and footprints from crime scenes, and it will be useless if you fail to have the dedicated forensic fingerprint professionals in place capturing these prints and to populate that database, as Tina covered. Our positions as technicians originated over the investigative need for a better database, and you shouldn't be under any illusion that this will continue at an accepted level if our dedicated technicians are not in place. Please consider also that if you choose not to fund our positions to save money, other alternative funding possibilities include Multnomah County charging an arrested agency per booking. As an example, Portland booked in 36,000 people this last year. If the county charged just $100 per person, there's $3.6 million. There goes your savings. In fact, that's double what our budget is right now currently. And that, coupled with the loss of our highly trained technicians, would be devastating. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next group comes up, let me ask some others to be on deck. Laura Lawrence, Barbara McLean, Brighton has already been up, Brooke Timmons. Yeah, we only have a few minutes left. Yeah. Okay. You're on, I think. I think you are.
I'm an identification technician with Portland Police Forensic Evidence Division. I've been employed there for 5.5 years. I've known that I wanted to work specifically for Portland Police Fed since I was 17 years old. I started out as a Portland Police Explorer, then as a college intern, volunteering hundreds of hours with the Bureau. Both programs I participated in strive to mold youth into future Bureau employees. I am an example of what those programs strive for. If our positions were to be retained, our division would continue to work with city youth involved in the Summer Works intern program, hopefully allowing them to succeed in their dreams to work for us. I am distressed over the prospect of losing even one qualified employee, whether it be a sworn or non-sworn position. I am aware of the importance of attracting the very best candidates. However, little has been mentioned about the 20 techs whose future also hangs in the balance. We are career professionals from diverse cultural backgrounds with an average of over 10 years of forensic experience and thousands of hours of advanced training. The Bureau will no longer be able to benefit from this investment should a decision be made to eliminate these positions. In a previous city budget meeting, the question was asked, why has the city taken on this responsibility of fingerprinting? We have the history of our division documented. But the short answer to the question is, we are a group of individuals that specialize in rolling, examining, and identifying fingerprints. The job was originally the police bureau's, then given to the county. When the deputies were rolling the fingerprints, the quality submitted to the FBI was so poor that the job was taken back by the police bureau. Please don't vote to cut our jobs.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Hello, my name is Derek Newton. I'm the supervising technician on night shift for the Forensic Evidence Division. Last week, you approved the necessary funds to extend an intergovernmental agreement that allows the Forensic Evidence Division access to AFIS through the Western Identification Network. You not only invested in a valuable tool used to search for latent prints, you also provided the Portland Police Bureau with the necessary resource to facilitate the identification of subjects in custody. Technicians are in place to make sure you realize the full potential of your investment. Commissioner Fritz also expressed a concern over the impact of submitting fingerprint records to the state on cases that have not yet been adjudicated. In 2012, technicians submitted over 13,000 fingerprint records to the state in accordance with Oregon statute. The remaining 22,000 subjects booked into jail were properly identified by technicians without the need to submit the arrest record to the state. We're aware of the impact and the stigma that obtaining fingerprints and submitting them for inclusion in a computerized database has on a segment of the community. Any conceived of plan that does not include technicians will most certainly have all 35,000 records being submitted to the state as part of an arrest record. A decision to eliminate this position altogether fails to provide the investigative need for the Bureau. It fails to provide the operational need to the county. It fails to safeguard the city and the county from liability, and it fails the community's trust to adequately provide this vital service.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
My name is John Wong. I work for the Forensic Evidence Division. Worked there for 17 years. As my coworkers already stated, the booking fee by the county, if they take over, will not save Portland any money. The Portland Police will be liable for paying that booking fee if the people that are booked cannot afford the booking fee. So one of the things that I want to emphasize, who would you like your fingerprints taken? An experienced person or a deputy that is told this is part of your job now? Okay, so so one thing that I'm asking you as you consider your budget decisions is to look at the bigger picture. You save now, but pay later, and affect crime-solving skills of the criminals, or you can maintain the same level of service that we provide. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Come on up, and then while you're coming up, let's see. Ken Diener, Christine Yoon, and Diana Ginsburg, or Monica Yoon also? Okay, please go ahead.
Hello, I'm Brooke Chilton-Timmons with Metropolitan Family Service. And I first want to say thank you for the city's longtime commitment and partnership in Sun Community Schools. Sun is a nationally recognized model that is strengthened by the city's strong involvement. I'm here tonight to ask you to continue your investment in that partnership by fully funding all Sun Community School sites, including David Douglas High School and the pass-through funds. Sun Community Schools support many of the most vulnerable students and families in Portland through a cost-effective model that improves students' academic achievement, attendance, and high school graduation. Because of tonight's location, many of the families that we work with in East Portland weren't able to be here tonight, but we wanted their voices to be heard. And so I brought a packet of letters with me, and I'm going to quickly read just a couple of those to you.
Why don't you just leave them for us? Okay. So, because I will make copies of them for the rest of the council, and that way we can get a few more people in before we get evicted out of our room.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much. Christine? I use that term deliberately, yes. Thank you.
Christine Yoon, good evening. Just some equity and diversity goals that were mentioned in Parks' proposed budget report for 2013-14. Maintain equitable access to recreation programming, especially for the most vulnerable populations. Pay attention to cultural, demographic, and socioeconomic impacts. Budget proposals should not create new or worsen existing inequities. Contribute to improved health outcomes for youth through increased physical activity. None of these is going to be accomplished by closing Buckman Pool. I looked at the proposed budget, and there are a lot of new capital expenditure improvement projects, and they're planned in areas that are currently underserved. Well, our area is also underserved, and I think this is just like for the last 5 years, everybody's been budgeting, their household budgets. They've been cutting things, and they cut the things that they can't do right now, and they don't cut food. So it's like, if you're going to do all these new projects that require more funding to keep them going, and then you're going to cut existing services, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ken Diener. Starting with a couple of the goals that was established in the Parks Bureau own budget submittal this year. They talked about equity, sustainability, and health. It speaks to all the great work that people have been talking about here all through the night here. And when you're talking about closing Buckman Pool, it's not just a piece of water or a piece of recreation. As you heard from the young kids, it's a lifestyle, it's jobs, it's a community. And you're also talking about cutting this pool out of the neighborhood that has the highest poverty rate in the whole city and the third highest non-family household. So totally non-equitable in terms of closing facilities out of this. One of the things that I found most interesting, and I emailed it to your offices, was throughout the last 10 years of proposals of cutting Buckman Pool, we keep on hearing Buckman Pool is the most expensive. Buckman Pool is the most expensive. Turns out on page 102 of the Portland Parks own budget list of all the pools in the system, turns out that Buckman Pool is a good deal. It is the least expensive covered all-year pool in the system. If you look at total subsidies, Buckman Pool is the least subsidized enclosed pool in the system of only $212,000, whereas East Portland has a $1,139,000 subsidy for the pool, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's all on this one sheet. So I'd like to change the discussion. When we hear Buckman is the most expensive pool, it just doesn't bear out in the parks they own data. Thank you.
Just pull that over a little closer to you. Thank you.
I'm Diana Ginsberg, and I just wanted to say that the pool is very much used by senior citizens as a fun, and that would be great to have it continue.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks very much. Folks, I'm sorry, but we are going to have to close this hearing. There are a number of you still signed up. I hope you will exercise your prerogative to email us and call us and otherwise get in touch with us in our offices and by every other means that you have to you as citizens, but had a lot of great and passionate testimony tonight. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.